Hello guys, I've had Adelaide for a couple of days and I played her a lot in all game mods and I want to share my thoughts about her. Not all my thoughts are particularly positive, which is a pity because she's a lovely character and I see some potential in her, but there's also some issues with her kit and her cards. I want to start talking, in particular, about the purpose of characters or combatants like Adelheid, Tiphera and Narja. The oldest of the three, Narja, was released as a support for Serenia. She increases damage and reduces the cost of stuff via veracity and predation. She provides some card draw, she provides some buff, she keeps everyone alive. Then we go to Tiphera. Tiphera does a million different things. She was clearly designed as the support for 9, and she provides a ton of damage buffs for combatants that deal big bonk damage, so 9, Haru, and the big bonk damage build of Hidemari. She provides a ton of healing, action point generation, some draw slash cycle, and overall a ton of value for the team. Really a ton of value. And for me, Tiphera, so far, outside of seasonal characters, has been the most must-pull character together with 9. Then we go to Adelheid. What does she do? Well, mostly shield and cycling. And that's about it. Not a lot of damage increase buffs for the rest of the team, not a lot of draw, some draw, but not a lot, mostly cycling, a ton of shields, she's going to keep everyone alive, and that's about it. It's not a bad thing, because she does all those things really well via the use of her card. A quick mention that triggered me a lot about her basic cards. When we got the developers node preview of Adelheid, I was like, oh, it's really sad that the basic cards are probably going to be replaced all the time because the design is beautiful. I really like the art style of these basic cards. But what triggered me is that in the potential node, if you want to have increase the Divine Epiphany chances, you need to go through this piece of garbage, which increases 10% to the shield gain of a basic card that we are going to remove 98% of the times. It's really annoying. I cannot explain to you how much this annoyed me. If this was a shield gain percentage buff to the effect of blessing, the passive effect, it would have been reasonable. Like, yeah, it's not a big deal, but at least it's a free effect. No, on the basic card that we are removing from the game. Okay. But let's pretend the basic cards do not exist. Most of her kit relies around two cards that I believe we're going to always see on every serious save file of Adelheid. One is Once Upon a Time and the other one is Protectors. The reason why they work together is that the purpose of Once Upon a Time is to apply blessing to cards, and the purpose of Protectors is to draw cards with blessing or cycle them. What blessing does is that when a card with blessing goes to the graveyard, you gain some shield for free. It's a very nice effect. It's not, something that breaks the game, but it's nice. The Epiphanies, for Once Upon a Time, there was a cut there because I had to sneeze. There are 3 Epiphanies for Once Upon a Time that I never use, and they are, let's say, 3, 4, and 5. I really dislike them. If the first Epiphany that I get in a run that is not a delegate run is one of these 3, I very often will consider restarting the run, because it's a bummer. The first 2 are amazing, but they fit completely different purposes. This one applies blessing to 3 random cards, you draw one of them. So it's 1 card to apply blessing to 3 other cards. It has exhaust 2, so you can apply blessing to a multitude of your cards over the course of different uses, and you cycle into them. This one, it has initiation, you select and you draw 1 card from the draw pile, and then you apply blessing to that card. It's important to emphasize that is from the draw pile, because the first Once Upon a Time that you play at the start of the game, it's a demonic tutor from Magic the Gathering that costs 3 and attaches blessing to the card that you want in your hand. It's amazing. The following ones, it depends if the card that you want is in the draw pile. If it's in the graveyard or in the discard, it's GG's. If you are often playing decks that relying upon having one specific card in your hand at the beginning of turn 1, this Epiphany is phenomenal. You can do a mix, like you could have 2 copies of Once Upon a Time, one this version, to help apply blessing to more cards, and one this version so that on turn 1 you are guaranteed to have one specific card in your hand. I like them both, I do not have a particular preference, they just fit different teams. And for example, if I'm playing a team that has Cassius with the quest card, and I want to have it in hand on turn 1, you know, it's obviously you're going to pick that one. And protect us, the Epiphanies, there are 2, just like for Once Upon a Time, there are 2 that are great and the others are absolute cope. The 2 that are great for me are, for the next 3 blessing cards activated, you draw 1 blessing card. It helps to cycle. You can make it cost 0, which is nice. It helps to cycle, and you know, it's a solid card. The other one is this, which is essentially, I want to say, a poor man's version of Repose, Veronica's card. It costs 0. It has blessing, which is, again, not a huge thing, but it's a nice tag to have there. You draw 1. If the card that you draw has blessing, you draw 1 more. Since it's a card that costs 0, it can have a Divine Epiphany for 1 action point. Meaning, it costs 0, it draw 1, sometimes it draws another one, and it generates an action point. If you have ways to add blessing to multiple cards in your deck, this is excellent. In general, this is my favorite, because unfortunately you do not know which of your cards are going to get the blessing tag, especially early on. So it can happen that on turn 1 you play this one and nothing happens, and it feels omega bad. You cycle into something and that's it, and it's like, This one at the worst is 0 cost, generate an action point, draw 1. It's decent, it's very very decent. I like this one a lot. The other Epiphanies are not for me. I really do not appreciate them very much. The remaining 3 cards, 2 of them are unique, which is nice because it means that building a save file for Veronica, for Adelheid is very easy because you always have 3 cards that you can copy and you can very easily choose them, unless there is a build. We talk about the other build later. Garden of Secrets, I like it a lot. It costs 0 because I have her Manifestigo, but it should cost 1. It's a very solid card. And Friends and Fairy Tales, which version to get depends a bit on what you want to achieve. Like, do you have a counter-attack team with Magna? Well, it's a trash team, I'm sorry Magna, but the counter-attack is really bad in this game. This one is going to be nice. Or do you want to get the crazy animation of the doggy pack? It's cool. The doggy morph is probably the best one, but in general you can pick either of these. They're not going to make or break the game. Just be careful about the doggy pack, because it's 4 cards in draw pile and you do not necessarily want to draw into them, unless you have ways like Dream World to essentially guarantee that you can get rid of them. And then we go to Truth Behind the Story, which is the card that I like, but I only like 1 Epiphany of it, which is this one. It's a lot of value for 1 single attack card that costs 1 that you can make cost 0. Decent multiplier of damage, weaken, 100% extra damage amount taken by the target for 1 turn from every source. It's nice. It's very good value for a single card. It's not a game-breaking card. Like, if you think about the amount of damage that 9 can deal when you combine her with Tiphera and Orlea, and you multiply after multiply, and it's like 5 Gorillion damage. This is like, what is going on? And so, she has some damage amplification, but not much. She has all the shield amount you will ever want, and she has some interesting draw and cycle mechanics. Unfortunately, none of these are particularly amazing. She's a phenomenal combatant to have with you if you're doing chaos exploration, sortie, delegate mode, all this sort of stuff. I will show you later. But very often, when we evaluate a combatant, we do so in terms of endgame mode. Usually, the most challenging endgame mode are the Nebula Distortion bosses, the Great Rift, and recently we also got I will never remember the name, I'm terrible with names, the full-scale offensive. In the full-scale offensive, you don't really need Adelheid being the sustain. You need to have the correct combatants, for the damage dealers for the most part, to handle the bosses, and you're done. We go to the Rift. Something you will notice in the Rift, in the merit rankings, there are not many Adelheids. And those that are actually there, they could easily be replaced. This week, rather this season, let's go to Masters. The first half, you can get full points with any team ignoring the mechanics of the boss. I'm not joking. You're going to see a lot of Diana, because she's great against this boss, but you can use virtually any team with any main damage dealer and you're going to be fine, absolutely fine. In the second half, Hidemaru is going to be peak, Cassius is going to be peak, but at the end of the day, you don't need Adelheid. Like, how far do we need to go to see more Adelheid? It's always Hidemari, Cassius, Ni. And I wonder how many of these are the Dream World build. All of them, very likely. Is it hashtag all? Hashtag all, essentially, yes. I will show you that build later. So, when 9 was released, we had a boss that was amazing if you had 9. When Rita was released, there was a boss that was great if you had Rita. Now we get Adelheid, and she's extremely forgettable in the endgame mode. So, how valuable is she for you to pull? Well, she has a build that is very good. Let me show you. And it's... where is the Dream World build? Here. If you build Adelheid for a Dream World build, it's going to be very nice because 2 of her cards get removed from the game. Then you have Once Upon a Time, meaning that on turn 1 you can guarantee that you start with something relevant to your team in your hand. She's a Vanguard, she cannot get morale in her Dream World, but she can get action point generation. And then, you know, the rest of the Master Blaster stuff. So this is very good for Adelheid, but any character can be built, can use the Dream World build, like literally anyone. It's not particularly unique to Adelheid. Her plus for the Dream World build is the guaranteed shield generation when cycling through cards with Blessing. It's actually very nice, because if you do not have any sustainability, you can go, you know, have some bad time when cycling through Dream World against enemies that require multiple turns. But it's far from being a must-have. What I like for general use is a save file that is set up more or less like this, but the epiphanies of this save file in particular are for the most part wrong, and I need to edit them. Equipment is very easy. You want, you know, this stuff, you want the torture toolbox, and then I gave her this persona card. Applies vulnerable, extra damage to attack cards, all the good stuff. I kept Doggy, I kept Garden of Secret. Here I need to change it to the only epiphany that I like, meaning increases the damage taken by the target for 1 turn and applies weaken. And Since this is a save file with 3 Protect Us and 1 Once Upon a Time, this one I want the version that applies a blessing to 3 cards in the deck, and this one I want the version that draws, costs 0, and cycles, and draws extra cards when I get a blessing. I think that is going to be better. But it's going to take quite a while because I need to change the base epiphanies, and just for that it's going to be like 40k currency, and then I need to worry about the divine epiphanies, and then it's going to be endless amount of currency. So yada yada. It's going to take a while before this save file is actually good. I have one for the counter attack, which is not this one. It's this one. But again, counter attack is in a very bad spot. It's a very bad game mechanic. Here I went for 2 Once Upon a Time, 2 Protectors. I would have to work on the Divine Epiphanies, but a counter-attack is very bad, so I'm not too concerned about making a counter-attack save file that works well. Mainly because counter-attack is 1. Like, you get hit, you counter-attack 1. It's nice when you fight against one enemies that hit you multiple times and you see your combatants go pew pew pew, and the fact that you can hold the counter-attack with the correct epiphany for Teddy is nice, but still it's a very limited amount of damage compared to having a regular damage dealer build, so I would not recommend going that route. It's very difficult to talk about save files for Adelheid because most of them it feels like it doesn't matter. Like, she's absolutely phenomenal in recurring content, so Chaos and Sortie, but all the game modes where I played her in any team, she could have been replaced by Tiphera, by Narja, or by anyone with a Dream World save file. So, for me, Adelheid is a very comfy pick if you are the kind of player who spends hours a day farming Chaos and Sortie. If you care about leaderboards for the Rift and stuff like that, maybe someone will find a secret illegal save file that everyone will be using forever for Adelheid. I'm not that someone. I have not found any save file that is unique to Adelheid that makes her completely broken for specific teams. She's comfy, she keeps you alive, she cycles through the deck. She's a combatant for which you will not feel guilty getting her, you will not regret it. At the same time, you should not FOMO into getting Adelheid. Do not believe any she's busted, but also don't believe any she's trash. She's not trash, she's a fine combatant. Of course, the combatant that comes after a seasonal combatant is always in a rough spot, because the seasonal combatant is god tier. The next one is like, plus she's a sustain, she keeps you alive, and she only does that, so there's a little bit of a bit of disappointment for sure. I was expecting her to be much better for counter-attack teams, mainly because the fragment set looks like it's designed for counter-attacks, and she has cards that enable interesting counter-attack shenanigans, but that's about it. I was really expecting that somewhere in her cards that would be increased multipliers for counterattacks, or counterattacks trigger multiple times per enemy hit, stuff like that, to make counterattack more viable. And instead she's just a piece of the puzzle to make counterattack viable, but we're still very far from having that puzzle complete. It's like Magna counterattacking against every team, you found a corner of the puzzle. Adelheid making the counterattack being able to retain, like, you found another corner of the puzzle, but it's a 500 piece puzzle, so it's going to take a while before counterattack feels good to play outside of, oh, I made a very gimmick showcase, a combatant happened to have counterattack, yeah, and it was a Dream World. It's always Dream World, the card is beyond broken. Here I unlocked everything because I'm a masochist essentially. Like, come on. None of this should happen. None of this should happen. At least she has some nodes here that make sense. Increase health, increase defense. She's a support that keeps you alive. This one is borderline useless because her damage is very questionable. Unless you have multiple Manifestigos, and even then... I went for the first two just because a few pulls gave me Manifestigo 1. And so from the shop, I used some currency to get Manifestigo 2 because the buff is nice. It's a damage buff to everyone in the team. But if you have a Manifestigo 2 Adelheid, you are getting very slightly closer to the effect of someone like, I don't know, Narja at Manifestigo 0. So don't get the ego manifestation. She's daughter peeled, like she's my daughter's favorite combatant. It looks a bit like her, apart from the color scheme and everything. That's why I invested a bit more into her, but she's a combatant that is extremely skippable, and if you do get her, there is no need to invest into her Manifestigos. This is a part of a clip against the last boss of a sortie. I have lost a ton of hit points during the round due to those events that give you rewards in exchange of hit points. And Adelheid, just by herself, did an amazing job keeping me alive the whole run. I did not even have to use the rest area, because pretty much no damage was coming through. And same is going to be for this boss for the whole duration of the fight. She just allowed me to keep tanking everything, ignoring the damage. Part of it through her cards, part of it through cards that I picked up along the run. But if your purpose is to have a shielder that keeps you alive during runs in, roguelike game modes, sure, thumbs up for Adelheid. But as I mentioned earlier in this clip, in this video rather, do not feel FOMO for her. Do not fall for the she's a must-have. No, very, very, very skippable. If you really like the character, you will not be disappointed. You just need to understand what you buy into. A sustain that keeps you alive and helps you to cycle through the deck. So if your purpose of playing Chaos Zero Nightmare is leaderboards, rank, top whatever percent, at the moment, I'm recording this on the 29th of May. At the moment, with her kit, the combatants that we have, and the synergy that we have, she doesn't make the cut for that kind of, try-harding gameplay. For roguelike exploration, big thumbs up. You're not going to regret getting her for sure. Just, if you're a bit short on pulls, we just had a seasonal character. Most of us are very short on pulls. If you're short on pulls, don't swipe just to get the Adelheid because you're afraid of missing out. Really don't. Save them for whoever is coming next. But if you do want to get her because you like her, you get my seal of approval. She's a lovely character. She has a lot of teddy bears. Her story is interesting. So, she's okay. Just we had some characters that they were omega busted. Now we get one that is okay. So that's my feedback for Adelheid. She's okay. Bye guys. Take care.